Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast focusing on e-commerce topics featuring interviews with prominent people in the e-commerce space.
This is E-Commerce Conversations by Practical E-Commerce. I'm Kerry Murdoch. Product reviews on e-commerce sites improve conversions, but they also help with customer relations, and recently even physical store merchants have used them. But merchants, both online and in physical stores, should carefully plan the use of product reviews and develop ideas for soliciting valid ones. To help us sort through the use of product reviews, we welcome Per Ludke, the CEO of PowerReviews, a leading product review provider. Well, Per, thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Per, we've read that product reviews on mobile devices can help drive sales in physical stores. Can you explain that notion to us?
Sure. It is a trend that we're seeing with all our retailers as well. And I think it really boils down to the fact that consumers are doing a lot of research before they walk into a store, and therefore are much more educated than they used to be. And what we're seeing is associates, particularly with the high associate turnover rate, that mobile devices in the store actually allow the associate to educate the consumer more so than sort of the standard associate would be able to. So things like product comparisons or customer reviews can actually make that associate look even better than he or she would sort of without them.
So the customer, let's say I'm a customer in a physical retailer, how this would work is I would have, say, my iPhone or my BlackBerry, and I would pull up that merchant's hopefully mobile optimized site and look at that product on the merchant site and analyze the reviews for a particular product that I'm considering. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, there's sort of three implementations that I've seen. One is exactly that. So you go on, you're in a store and you click on their mobile site and they might have reviews. That's sort of one implementation. The second implementation is actual kiosks in the store itself. So you can actually go to a review optimized site or even just the company's website that has all the reviews of the product. The third, which is most nascent here, and I think really, really interesting, is actually arming the associates with the web devices. So when they're on their scanners or their in-store devices, they actually have the reviews themselves, which makes them sort of better sales associates.
So in all three cases, the reviews reside on the merchant site versus the reviews residing on a general review site.
Exactly.
In terms of that actually increasing sales, are you able to speak to, I realize it's kind of a new development with reviews, but are you able to speak to what physical merchants are seeing with that type of technology?
It is exactly right. It's very nascent at this point. We don't have hard data that shows that. I mean, sort of the mobile adoption is obvious. So I can just really speak to the sort of larger trends about mobile being more important in sort of driving in-store decisions. And I hope to work with sort of some of our customer and retail clients to actually quantify the value of that.
Per, change directions on you here for a sec. Our audience, our listeners, are smaller e-commerce merchants for the most part, and I'm going to throw a hypothetical scenario at you. Say I'm a merchant, an online merchant with $1 million in sales, and I'm wondering what you would recommend to me as to what my strategy should be on product reviews. And by strategy, that's, should I approve all the reviews, good and bad? Should I limit their length? Should I keep them rotated? What should I be thinking for a small online retailer? What should be in my head as it relates to product reviews?
I think the number one tip we give to all of our clients is to send a follow-up email 3 weeks after purchase requesting a review. And this email that retailers send out needs to be purely solicitational and not a marketing message. So there's any one tip that I would offer, it would be to actually engage the customer about 3 weeks after they've made the purchase in order to get their reviews. Because what we find is the hardest thing, particularly for smaller sites to do, is actually to generate a really solid, deep set of reviews that actually are able to inform the customer and lead the customer through the purchase process. In terms of actually approving all the reviews, most of the solutions like ours actually do all the moderation for you. We review all reviews for things like profanity and spam. I would not limit their length. Length is extremely important, particularly for smaller merchants, because Google really values the depth of content and the richness of the reviews. So for SEO purposes, it's very, very engaging in terms of traffic. Mm-hmm. And finally, in terms of a good and bad review, which I assume means like a positive and negative review, right. We found through consumer research that often a well-written bad review is the most helpful for a consumer. Because really the value of a review is affirmation, not inspiration. And what we help people do, or what reviews help people do, is to not make a mistake. And so if I'm about to buy a camera and the best written negative review says it's a wonderful camera, except it's not as waterproof as advertised, but I live in the mountains, I'm not going to take it in the local streams. Mm-hmm. Somebody then has taken the time to point out something negative, but that negative thing doesn't matter to me. So that actually really enhances the customer experience.
If that review in that example, if the reviewer said everything about this camera is terrible and it's a waste of money, would you advise a merchant? Should a merchant still approve that review? Or
yes, I would. I think it has to be about making sure that the customer's happy, because if the customer does not read that review and buys the product, it's very likely that that customer is going to return the product, and that actually just strictly from an ROI standpoint doesn't benefit it's not going to make the long-term relationship between that merchant and the customer very positive.
That's a great point. What about enticements to get reviews? What's your feeling on that?
There's quite a bit of talk about this right now. We find that simply emailing your customers 3 weeks afterwards is enough to drive a very solid amount of reviews. And there are instances where there have been promotions and enticements around it. I try to stay away from that. I think it has the potential, I don't know if it's real or not, the potential to skew reviews, or at least to create the perception of a skewed review base. So I would rather encourage our merchant partners to engage their most energized and passionate customers with just the ability to write, not win a prize by doing so. You're
the CEO of a leading review provider, PowerReviews. Let's talk about your offerings just for a sec. How much does it cost for our listeners? What does it cost them if they sign up with you?
We start at about $80 a month. This is with a entry-level product targeted for smaller merchants called PowerReviews Express. And we also have we tier up significantly from that. So with our larger, very large enterprise clients, they're paying orders of magnitude more than that on a monthly basis. But our entry-level pricing is about $80 a month.
You mentioned earlier you referred to PowerReviews, your company handling the moderation. That leads into my next question: do those reviews, do they sit on your web server, or do they sit on your client's web server?
No, they actually sit on the client's web server. And what's important about that actually is that I think it's sort of twofold. One is that our clients are not reliant on us and our systems, even though our systems are fantastic, for the sort of success of the review solution. The second thing, which is more important and I think more relevant to the retailers, is our experiences suggest that reviews sitting on the client's server actually drives is sort of better for search engine optimization. So they can sort of get inline SEO credit for the reviews themselves.
In terms of our listeners, there are over or close to, by our count, our last count was 594 English language shopping carts, believe it or not. So our listeners use a cross-section of those. Does your solution, the PowerReview solution, does it work with all of them?
It does. Our solution works with any shopping carts that allow JavaScript to be added on the product page. So we have a very, very flexible technology that allows sort of easy integration. At the same time, we've sort of developed deeper relationships and deeper integrations with some of the larger companies such as Pro Stores and Point Shop and Infobia. But our system is flexible enough to sort of work with everybody.
Regarding the approval, again, of reviews, switching back to that, how does a merchant know if it's a dishonest review, and a dishonest review being from a competitor or perhaps the manufacturer or the supplier of a particular product?
Two ways, really. The first is if the major sort of outsourced review solutions, and of which we're the leader, we moderate the reviews. So you have a first level sort of control. We have procedures and algorithms and people in place in order to do that, and we've sort of developed a really good competency in sort of red flagging that. That's sort of number one. And the second thing, it sort of refers back to what I talked about earlier, around emailing actually your customers. So when you email a customer who has bought a product 3 weeks prior, that customer writes a review, you really have a pretty good sense that that it's a true customer. It's not a manufacturer or a competitor sort of writing the reviews for marketing purposes. Do
you have procedures or processes in place that you believe you're able to ferret out competitors or manufacturers?
Yeah, we can do a lot with this technically, particularly because we can link sort of the buyer transaction with the review itself. So we can verify that people have actually bought the product. Okay,
all right. Per, again, our audience is smaller e-commerce merchants. Anything else on your mind for them today as it relates to reviews?
Yeah, the thing that I think the next wave of using customer reviews, a year ago it was all about sort of conversion. It's all about sort of traffic generation now through SEO. I really think that smaller merchants, particularly those who sort of have sort of de facto smaller marketing budgets, can really benefit from the reviews around driving product purchasing decisions. The buyers can use it, the merchants can use it, even sort of like the inventory working capital decisions can be made around reviews. Because really what you have with reviews is a real-time buyer-based focus group. And I think that's sort of the next way of using reviews as product analytics rather than in addition to SEO and conversion. I think that's a real goldmine of data that people are sitting on.
Well, Per's company, for purposes of our listeners again, Per's company is PowerReviews, and that's at PowerReviews.com. And Per Lutke, the CEO of PowerReviews, we want to thank you for your time again today, sir.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for this week's e-commerce conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week for another new episode.